Okay, I'm going to do a video here on elemental ailments. Just going to talk about the fire, cold, and lightning ailments. Um, so associated with fire is ignite, associated with cold is freeze, and lightning gives you shock. I got some wiki here. We're going to talk about how critical strikes help you inflict ailments. We're going to talk about different ways of investing in inflicting ailments without crit. Just turn this down a bit. Oh, by the way, this is Prime Thanatos, best of lost years. This guy's awesome. He's got lots of great playlists on YouTube. Love this guy. Okay, so if you're critting with cold damage, you have a 100% chance to freeze. The beauty of freezing is you once you freeze an enemy, they are not attacking you, so defensively it's great. As well as when you do kill them, they shatter, which stops on-death effects. You see here, non-unique enemies that are killed while frozen shatter into pieces, and the spines from the porcupines won't shoot out. Also the Weddas from the little ice spears from the Weddas in Delph won't hit you. They won't cast that. Works great with Herald of Ice because instead of just shattering, they explode in an area of effect, and then that wave of shattering kind of just increases as you scale area of effect. And crit, because that area of effect can crit and create more explosions. So it's a great clear skill. Herald of Ice with crit and cold damage. Now shock is so freeze duration is based off of the life of the target. Okay, so the more cold damage you're doing, the longer you're freezing for. Now with shock, the increased damage taken of shock scales with the maximum life. So now what I mean by increased damage taken is when this guy's standing on shocking ground. Shocking ground increases damage taken of anything standing on that shocking ground by 20%. So if you're standing on shocking ground, you're taking 20% increased damage, which is almost like a more multiplier. I guess it's not a more multiplier because it is additive, but it takes the damage taken. So you're going to take damage from all sources, 20% increased damage. So if you're taking 100 damage normally, you're going to take 120. So non-hit sources of shock, so this is like focus shock mod and stuff like that, they're shocking for 20%. Whereas if you're shocking with attacks or spells, so player damage, skill damage, is based on the target's maximum life. If you're doing 10% of maximum life in lightning damage, so it only takes into account the lightning damage with this. So you're going to increase damage taken by 50%. Effective shock isn't going to increase that damage taken cap, but it's going to decrease the amount of lightning damage you need to do to reach that 50%. So if I have 100% increased effective shock, I only have to do 5% of the maximum life to get a 50% shock out there. And it's a great way to scale damage. If you're doing lightning damage, investing in effective shock is great. It really helps out with boss fights. You can clear T16s. I had a shock effect in this Elementalist before it got completely gutted, but yeah, you're clearing T16 with what seems to be next to no damage. It's a really great ailment for increasing your damage overall. Excuse me. So ignite. There's two. Basically, they scale the same, but they're inflicted differently, and that is ignite and burn. You can burn without igniting, but ignite is always going to burn. So now, inflicting an ignite, you're gonna crit with fire damage, and you're gonna get an ignite on your target. Only one ignite. There's things like sudden ignition that you can inflict an extra ignite, but only with burning arrow. What's the other one with the additional ignite? Emberwake? Yeah, an ignition, additional ignite on an enemy. So now you can stack ignites. Which is important because you're only doing 50% of the base fire damage of the hit, so it's not taking into account any of the other damage that you're doing. It's going to apply that 50 damage per second over 4 seconds. So 50 times 4, 200% of the base fire damage dealt. You can burn faster with things like, Goddess Scorned, where are you? Deal damage 50% faster. So now you're doing 75% of your base cold damage per second, which increases your overall ignite damage up to 300%. Yeah, and that's basically how ignite scales. Obviously, you can increase your base damage, and it will increase your ignites. But at the end of the day, ignite is a damage over time, and you need to be doing absolutely insane amounts of fire damage to make it feel good, make things die quickly. Especially now with the buff to rare monster life and things like that. It's really, everything out there has a lot of life these days. I want to go into Fizz? No, we're going to stay with the elemental ailments here. Yeah, that's about all we have to cover with elemental ailments. If there's anything else that I missed, just throw it in the comments, and I'd appreciate it. I'm still learning with this game as well, so yeah, appreciate the view, and hopefully everybody learned something. Alright.